If you haven't heard the news, there's a new hero type in Fae, and we're getting 2 of them to start things off. Attuned Heroes are a new limited 5-star hero that act similarly to Rearmed Heroes. Instead of arcane weapons, they bring new attuned skills, which will go in the brand new X slot for a unit's build. You can watch my last video for a little more info, but today we're focusing on the banner itself. Our 2 attuned heroes are Triandra and Peony, hot off the Tempest Trials. Joining them, we have from Shadows of Valentia, Mycen, and Rearmed Sonya. If you plan to summon a lot, this banner has 3 spark opportunities. We'll talk about each unit's stats, skills, general playstyle, and discuss some other skills they may like. There are no 4-star focus units this time, but Hestia will be an instant demo joining the 3 to 4-star pool next month. You can get her now though via some quest, and you can get 2 free 5-star copies. We actually won't be talking about Hestia in this video. Instead, I want to discuss her with her sister, Marla, who is the Grand Hero Battle Unit. The 2 are quite similar, so builds will have a lot of overlap. Starting us off is the most regular unit on the banner, Mycen. Mycen is the only one who would join the permanent 5-star pool after the banner ends. As a unit, Mycen is a Lance Cavalier with 40 HP, 46 attack, 16 speed, 45 defense, and 37 resistance. Attack and defense super boons. Mycen will join do so with that Great Knight stat spread. I believe he will have the highest defense for Lance Cavs, toppling Alfred. His res is also just slightly behind the lead as well. Now for Ode skills, you can get Bonfire for Mycen's high defense, as well as attack and defense clash 4. Try to be on the move to neutralize attack and defense debuffs. Mycen's weapon is the Worldly Lance, 16 might, accelerated specials. At start of turn, if Mycen is within 2 spaces of an ally, he gives himself and those allies plus 6 defense on his field boss and a low status to neutralize the foe's field boss. If Mycen initiates or is near an ally, he inflicts attack and defense debuffs, gets a free follow-up attack, and inflicts guard on the foe. The attack and defense debuffs are equal to 20% of Mycen's defense stat at start of combat, plus 6. With 45 defense and the plus 6 defense field buff, Mycen has 51 defense. 20% of that, plus 6, is going to be minus 16 attack and defense on the foe. Fairly basic tank weapon for a bulky unit, and Mycen can help protect his team as well. Simple but effective. For his new inheritable C skill, Mycen has Joint Close Guard, the tier 4 upgrade for Close Guard. Grants plus 4 defense and res to allies within 2 spaces against melee foes. The user will get these same buffs if they fight when near an ally. I have zero clue why it's taken so long for this joint buff to come in. We got Joint Distant Guard 2 years ago, and its melee version did not really get anything new to keep up with newer skills. You can combo Joint Close Guard with the Close Guard 3 Sacred Seal. Your allies will now get plus 8 defense and res, but the user is not going to get those extra stats. Mycen has a fairly basic playstyle. Stand by your team each turn to give himself and allies plus 6 defense and res and that low status. If Mycen is nearby, he can stack on Joint Close Guard for even more protection in combat. For his own combat, try to initiate after moving 2 or more spaces to proc attack and defense clash 4. Now Mycen will ignore the foe's field boss and his own attack and defense debuffs. Worldly Lance inflicts a ton of attack and defense debuffs itself, grants a follow-up attack if the foe does not stop him, and you have accelerated specials with Guard. The open B slot can be used for something like Desperation or Flow B skills, but keep in mind, Mycen is not fast. Not winning speed checks will lose the double even if Mycen can cancel out follow-up denial. For simplicity, you can run attack and defense near Trace to gain Kanto and more consistent debuffs. I wouldn't stack a low 4 because Worldly Lance already grants the status. Now Gambit 4 can provide 40% DR, but you're going to have to run 4 cooldown Aether or Miracle. Percent DR on top of Mycen's huge debuffs will be fun though. You could also run defensive specials, but Cavs like a Breath type cooldown skill. Heavy Blade could work, but that may be better for faster bonfires or Ignis. A bit of a dark horse, but if you just want Mycen to stand by the team with his buffs and Joint Close Guard, you could opt for something like a Snag or Ruse debuff. Chills will work too. Maybe throw in Distant Counter if you're just going to turtle up. If you think he has enough flat resistance, you could run the tier 4 ploys. They are just that powerful. For more flat defense and res, Fortune Defense and Res is the pick at the cost of some damage. For some other skills, Attack Smoke 4 would be nice for the follow-up denial, even if the defense and res field buffs are kind of wasted. You could technically run Menace skills, but a more selfish option is Alarm Attack and Speed for the Kanto alternative. For seals, Catch and Soul are fine for a Cavalier, maybe Bonder Form if you're going to go with something like Unity in the A slot. If you wanted to use the new attuned skills, you got one choice, Deathblow Echo. Overall, Mycen is another tanky Lance Cavalier, not a lot of surprises, just solid tank perks and a bunch of debuffs. Our next unit is Rearmed Sonya. Sonya's back with the Arcane Green Tome, and she is a green infantry mage with 38 HP, 45 attack, 32 speed, 20 defense, and 45 resistance. Very high base attack and res, kinda speed, and not the best physical bulk. Defense is secondary for Sonya, as she'll be focusing on nuking the enemy first. I believe she ties for the highest attack among all mages. For old skills, she has Blazing Wind, which she will pre-charge. Sonya is also our second unit with Escape Route 4, which she can self-proc. Now, the Arcane Caliburnus is our Arcane Green Tome. It has 14 might and accelerated specials. At start of combat, if the unit has more than 25% health, grant +5 total stats, grant a free follow-up attack, grant breath type cooldown reduction, and neutralize the foe's attack and res field buffs, aka low attack and res. Pretty straightforward arcane weapon. The free follow-up means it will work for any stat spread. Slower units get a follow-up potentially. Faster mages can use the follow-up to cancel out follow-up denial. We have a nice stat boost with low attack and res to mess with the enemy. Then there is a lot of cooldown built in. With Slang and Breath type cooldown, if you were to take a hit, you could retaliate with an instant Iceberg or upgrade to the premium Flare for infantry mages or Armored Flow and Beacon for armored mages. We can then combo that with Special Spiral 4 for DR Piercing or things like Tempo for no guard. For the Mage Cows and Flyers, they lack cooldown options, so Arcane Caliburnus will fill that hole. For some potential free-to-play users, Limstella is our bulkiest green infantry mage, although they have their own weapon. For speed enthusiasts, we just got T-Time Tau 2. Winter Bruno is an armored mage, but I'm not sure what fighter B skill you would want to run alongside. Maybe Savvy Fighter? For Mage Cavaliers, we got Picnic Leo and Cecilia. There are no free-to-play green flying mages. T-Time Ferdinand is a 4-star focus in recent times though. To enable her own niche and her nuking role, Sonya has Beyond Witchery, her unique A skill. It grants a flat +8 to all stats. Each turn, Sonya gains special cooldown and takes damage equal to X. On turn 1, she gets -2 cooldown and takes 2 damage. Every other turn, it's -1 cooldown and -1 damage. Sonya then gets no guard. With Accelerated Blazing Wind, Sonya will pre-charge it on turn 2. She has +8 flat attack to boost its damage. On her basic attack, after the AoE procs, Sonya has Breath type cooldown and no guard, so she would get -2 cooldown. That leaves Blazing Wind on 1 cooldown, and next player phase, Beyond Witchery kicks in to give another -1 cooldown. If Sonya were to double in combat, she can charge the AoE even if the foe has no special charge. As for the self-recoil damage, this primes Escape Route 4 for 3 range warping and Kanto 1. The +8 flat resistance will also then help with Sonya's next skill. Sonya brings Attack and Res Ploy 3 as her inheritable C skill. At start of player or enemy phase, if any foes within 3 rows or 3 columns have less resistance than the user +5, inflict -7 Attack and Res debuffs, the Ploy status, and the exposure status on those foes. Sonya's +8 flat res makes this easier to activate, and the -7 res debuffs will equate to more AoE damage. Exposure also applies to the AoE, which means with the basic attack afterwards, that's an extra 20 damage burst. If Sonya were to double, even more damage if needed. As for Ploy, the status will counteract some strong effects, but it's only their status versions. The tier 4 or tier 3 dual ploys are definitely very strong. You can inherit this one with either attack ploy 3 or res ploy 3. We've mostly gone over how Rearmed Sonya operates. Beyond Witchery will make her a self-sufficient AoE special spammer, and the self-recoil can proc Escape Route 4's warp and Kanto abilities. On turn 2, Sonya can unleash her special, reap extra damage via Attack and Res Ploy 3's exposure and debuffs, and then you can retreat a little bit with Kanto 1. Next player phase, she will recharge Blazing Wind. Sonya will want more flat attack to boost the AoE damage and more flat res for her Ploy check. Stillwater 3 grants +5 to both, but if you did want a little more HP to work with, the Squad A's BU3 seal will grant +3 attack and res with +5 HP. It is worth mentioning that since Sonya loses HP on her own, she can kickstart the enemy AI into acting. However, she won't charge Blazing Wind till turn 2, so you kinda need to plan around this. For turn 1 moves, you may want to try to get her a last cooldown charge. If you were to stick to using AoE specials, Hardy Bearing is a noteworthy seal to counter advantage. For other skills, you could run Desperation 4 since she immediately loses HP. Brash Assault would give Sonya some percent DR, and Fobs technically do stack. Arcane Caliburnus with Beyond Witchery does grant plus 13 to all stats, so Sonya may be slightly bulkier than a normal mage. We discussed the Instant Flare counterattack due to the weapon's cooldown perks. Speaking of cooldown, what about Special Spiral 4? It would recharge Blazing Wind to be ready for multiple AoE procs in one phase via Dancers. However, it does not grant DR piercing to AoE specials. If you were to run Time's Pulse, Sonya technically could charge AoEs and Glaciers in turn 1. However, we were gonna lose the shiny tier 4 Ploy debuffs. While other green mages may like these skills, Sonya does carve her own niche thanks to her unique Beyond Witchery. Next up is our first attuned hero, Triandra. She's a sword-flying dancer with 39 HP, 44 attack, 46 speed, 27 defense, and 22 resistance. Super boons in attack, speed, and res. Despite her dancer BST penalty, Triandra is out for some blood, just behind Legendary Alencia in attack and speed for this class type. For old skills, Triandra has more power with attack and speed class 4 and speed and defense hold. Her weapon is the Flower of Tribute, 16 might, and for all foes within 3 rows or 3 columns, centered on Triandra, they will take 5 damage as combat begins, and will lose -5 speed and defense in combat. You can kind of think of it like enemies are on flame tiles. Now, for personal combat, Triandra has accelerated specials. If she is healthy, she gets +5 to all stats and 20% speed as true damage on hit. Take note that Triandra will benefit from the 5 as combat begins damage and the debuffs when she's fighting herself. With over 50 speed just from this weapon, that's already +10 true damage on hit. She is squishy, but Triandra can dish out the pain if you let her. For her new Harrowing Dream Dance, this is just an upgraded Frightful Dream Dance. Grant another action to an ally, then inflict -5 debuffs, the guard status, and the sabotage status on foes in cardinal directions from Triandra and her danced ally. Triandra basically has a Spectrum Ruse debuff built into her dance. You get the long range debuffs and guard support. Now she adds Sabotage, which is basically full penalty doubler that will borrow from nearby allies if needed. This means those -5 debuffs become -10 total. Stack that with Flower Tributes, -5 speed and defense. Next, we have Triandra's attuned skill. Deathblow Echo grants +4 attack in combat when you initiate. It is simply Deathblow 2, and is inheritable by everyone minus healers. Reminder, you cannot use attuned skills with exclusive passives, assists, or specials. Exclusive weapons are okay. Additionally, Attuned Heroes can only run the attuned skill they come with at the same time as their own exclusive skills. For example, Triandra can only use Harrowing Dream with Deathblow Echo. She cannot use Harrowing Dream with Attuned Peony's Attack Oath Echo. Same deal as Rearmed Heroes and their arcane weapons. Now, there currently isn't a lot to debate about attuned skills. If a unit doesn't have an exclusive skill they want to run, then ideally you want an attuned skill. I am still unsure if they affect arena scoring, but I read a passing comment that they do not from someone's testing. We'll find out for sure once more people get their hands on these skills. Another skill you can inherit from Triandra is Flow Refresh 4. If you initiate combat, you inflict -4 speed and defense on the foe, you get offensive follow-up, reduce damage from the foe's hit by 40 or first hit by 40%, and you restore 10 HP after combat. I've had pretty mild feelings on Flow Refresh because I felt Flow Guard is generally better to survive things like slaying bonfires. If I were to die to special counters, the healing is kind of worthless. Now, the new added debuffs are good, but the 40% damage reduction is an excellent addition to the skill that makes me worth considering it. Not only is it another stacking percent DR source for faster initiators, but the sustain can offset running something like Surge Sparrow. For Cavaliers, we also now have Alarm C skills if you wanted some kind of conto ability. Reminder, flow skills are only for melee Cavaliers and Flyers, minus Beast and Dragons. As a dancer, Triandra can dance and debuff to support the team just fine. She has long range debuffs, guard support, and brings in another source of as combat begins chip damage. After dancing, enemies could lose -10 to all stats total thanks to her Sabotage, -5 speed and defense, and they take 5 damage if they stay in Triandra's range. If you can get really close, then speed and defense hold is another -4. The hold debuff is fun, but you can easily swap this out to something like Oath 4 for self-warping or guidance skills to move the team around. In terms of personal combat, Triandra won't get her own dance effects. However, she can inflict minus 13 speed and defense with her base kit, gain plus 5 stats from her weapon with 20% speed as true damage. If she were to outspeed, she now doubles and has 40% DR with some healing afterwards. You also have extra stats from Clash 4 and the good old plus 4 attack from Deathblow Echo, just a nice bonus. It's going to require a team, but Attuned Triandra is a very interesting new addition for fans of stacking Flared Sparrow and or the Divine Vein Flame tiles. Anyone running Flared Sparrow with foes in range of Flower Tribute just take 12 damage before the fight begins. If you can fight an enemy already on a flame tile, they're going to take 19 damage. What if you had 2 Attuned Triandras on your team, or what about Gale Force users like Brave Golvik? Very annoying possibilities. You could try Gale Force on Triandra, but if you ran Wings of Mercy, then you're going to lose Flow Refresh's extra protection. An Impact would be nice to survive, but that also sacrifices a Flared Sparrow use. Now going back to some less violent skills, Kanto Dancers are excellent and fun to use. Instead of Near Trace, we have another option on the new Peony called Rock Slide Dance 3. In essence, it gives Kanto 1 to the Dancer after they do their thing. That can help position Triandra's DOS or things like Guidance for Warping. Overall, Attuned Triandra is a good solid unit. Having more dancers, never a bad thing, and even a single copy is impactful, especially when they have unique dances like our fairies. You even get to take their skills without losing her. Our last banner unit is Attuned Peony. Like her Tempest Boss version, she's an axe flying dancer. For stats, she has 40 HP, 40 attack, 45 speed, 25 defense, and 29 resistance. Peony has an attack super boon, but she isn't as glass cannon as her fellow Attuned Fairy. Not exactly bulky either, but she is going to be very fast at the very least. For old skills, Peony has attack and speed unity if she does need to use her axe. She's got a lot of new skills on hand. The Flower of Caring is a 16-weight weapon that grants plus 5 attack and speed in combat and 5 HP healing after combat to allies in line with Peony. For combat, she will get accelerated specials, and when healthy, she gains plus 5 to all stats, 40% DR for 1 hit, restores 5 HP after her own combat, and if Peony is in line with an ally, she gets an extra plus 4 to all stats as well. Like her mythic form, Peony has her cross spur effects. Now with extra healing, you can stack that with all kinds of similar effects, such as Mythic Peony's own Refine. There is clear inspiration carried over from that remix. With 40% DR, plus 9 stats, and her own 5 HP healing, Peony could take a hit or two. She has good speed to avoid natural doubles, and accelerated specials will help with any cooldown endeavors. Next, we have Peony's unique dance, Tender Dance. When you dance an ally, grant them plus 4 field balls to all stats, the regular warp status, and now a Kanto 1 status. Those buffs will spread to any other allies in line with Peony or her target. Unfortunately, Peony won't get these effects herself. Now Tender Dream is like the original Gentle Dream, now with Kanto added to the list of benefits. Having more Kanto teammates doesn't hurt, and since it's Kanto 1, you can use it even after warping. Peony's attuned skill is Attack Oath Echo. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant plus 6 attack field boss and the warp status to the user for 1 turn. This is essentially an Oath 4, but with the 1 stat, and you don't get the extra in combat stats. Like regular Oath skills, it's inheritable by infantry and flyers only, but by having the 2-space activation range, it is very easy to use. Peony now has her own warp ability, and she doesn't need flyer formation or aerobatics. Attack Oath Echo feels very good. If you want self-sufficient warping, then it's an amazing add-on for any unit. Peony brings 2 other inheritable skills. One is Rock Slide Dance 3. If dance is used, enable Kanto 1 for the user and grant plus 6 speed and defense field boss and the dodge status to the target ally. This is the second tier 4 Dancer B skill. With it, Peony gets the same Kanto and warping power that she gives her teammates. As for the 40% dodge DR, this is great for faster units, and you can use this when initiating or when taking hits. If you want this skill, it's going to be tough to inherit with 1 slot. Rock Slide Dance 2 was only on Dancer Valencia, a super old seasonal unit. She is a normal 1 Divine Code manual, but outside of that, you're going to need to spend 3 or 4 inheritance slots. If you want Attack Oath Echo, you will need at least Gale Dance 1 or Earth Dance 1. The only free-to-play way to get these is Dancer Eldigan, who has Earth Dance. For the non-dancers, you can instead grab Cross Spur Speed, grants plus 5 speed to allies in line with unit during combat. Like her weapon, Cross Spurs are long-range buffs for allies. Peony will be able to give plus 10 speed, which is quite a lot just with 2 skills. You do need to be in line though. In terms of playstyle, Attuned Peony is basically a 2.0 upgrade from her original form, just with an axe this time. Support-wise, she offers +4 field buffs, Kanto 1, and warping via Tender Dance. Rock Slide Dance adds dodge to the mix, and Peony has cross spurs for +5 attack, +10 speed, and +5 HP after combat healing. Peony essentially gets all the same effects for herself. Attack Echo gives her warping, Rock Slide Dance 3 gives Kanto 1, and Peony gets +9 to all stats if she fights when in line with an ally. She even gets 40% DR and 5 HP after combat healing. Similar to Triandra, you could go more aggressive with Flow B skills to double, and Heavy Blade Gale Force is possible in 2 hits thanks to accelerated specials. This is going to give up other support skills though, like extra drive buffs as Sacred Seals. Speaking of which, while Cross Spur is nice and synergizes with her weapon, you could also run something like Guidance 4. Those grant +3 speed, the 2-space warp, and offensive no follow. You could also hand out full no follow-up effects to infantry allies with Infantry Speed Tactic. That will go well with Rock Slide's Dodge and Peony Speed buffs. With Tender Dream and Rock Slide Dance 3, Peony gives 3 statuses to her 1 ally. If you were to add no follow-up from Infantry Speed Tactic, that will give you the magic number 4 statuses needed to proc the hilarious Prime 4A skills. Maybe that's why it came back so soon. For some other skills, we do have Tempest Sacred Seals. Sometimes 3 movement is better than warping. If you just want Peony to survive, you could add defensive skills like Brazen Stance 3 for guard, and Guard Bearing or Gambit for more % DR. Maybe use an accelerated defensive special. Overall, Attuned Peony will be great if you like buffs, Kanto, and warping. Her after combat healing support is also pretty nice. That'll be it for the first banner of Attuned Heroes. Triandra and Peony can offer up their skills and you get to use them afterwards. They are going to stay valuable since they are support dancers. Next video, we're going to talk about Marla, who is the Grand Hero Battle unit. However, since they are so similar, we're also going to go over Hestia. Sonya and her sisters will be able to wield all 3 arcane tomes if you want to build some units. That's all I got for now though. Good luck summoning, have fun with the new attuned skills, and I will see you in the next video.